Hi.
Pauline has a beautiful, beautiful book, Whispers of the Wolf. Whispers of the Wolf is historical fiction set around 500 years ago among the Pueblo Indians of the desert southwest. Centered around a boy and his wolf pup, it weaves together themes of community, tradition, self esteem, and respect for all life, creating a realistic portrait of a culture that continues to exert a vibrant, living influence today. Check out these illustrations. Really beautiful. Really beautiful.
So my journey was a long one. I actually first started working on this story in the late 80s. I actually got a contract a couple, 2 or 3 years after I started it, but after the illustrations were mostly done, that publishing company decided to stop publishing children's books. So the book became orphaned. And I started shopping it around a little bit more, but then I had twins, and for the next 10 years, I was busy doing something else. After my kids got a little bit older, I got back into writing and children's books. So I was revising that story and also taking courses, including about 4 courses, I think, a year, at least 4. And so during that time, as I was revising it, I was also researching more publishers. I found another one. They offered a contract, and actually Mira helped me negotiate that contract. So that was really wonderful. Thank you, Mira.
Oh, my pleasure.
So what I'd like to talk about today is some lessons that we can learn from some of the other visual arts, some of the other visual disciplines. I'm going to start with traditional Disney-style animation. One of the concepts that is often bandied about in animation is the idea of silhouette. So here I have 2 characters, well, it's the same character in 2 different poses, doing the same thing. One, they're both flicking a candy cane. This bottom one here, it's a little bit hard to read, and and part of it is because of the pose of the character. But if you consider the silhouette before you do, well, while you're doing your drawing, then sometimes you can see where the weaknesses are. The top one is obviously much clearer in terms of its the pose, the attitude of the character, and what the character is doing. That's one quick little lesson.
And that's because of the negative space.
Right.
Sorry, couldn't help myself.
No problem. Another animation concept is the idea of drawing through and drawing around. I think I can do it this way. So here you can see I've drawn around. So you can feel the volume of the character and a little bit of the perspective. And here you can see I've drawn through. So that you end up in the place that you want to be on the other side. So, for example, here at the hand, I drew from the thumb to the other side of the palm. Now I drew this again. You see, I didn't draw through here, and the thumb starts in the wrong place. A lot of times I see drawings too where they don't draw around and they flatten edges of things. And that's fine if you're doing a graphic style, but you should know that that's a choice and do it with knowledge rather than out of non-knowledge. Oh, another thing about this top drawing is that it also gets a little stiffer. Another concept in animation is line of action, or its spirit of the pose. Here in the top one, you can see the motion of the character going up here, then goes this way, and then the head is sort of disjointed from the rest of the action. Whereas in the bottom one, the line of action is much more continuous and the whole thing flows better.
Very
So
cool.
those are things you should think about when you're doing your sketches, finding that line of action. I'm going to move on a little bit to photography now. One thing that you, as illustrators, you probably hear a lot is you want to be able to direct the viewer's eye. And the primary way of doing that is through contrast. Now with photography, you're looking at the 3D world and your camera reduces it down to 2D. And when that happens, then you can analyze things in your image to see what works and what doesn't. So, for example, in this photo, your eye immediately goes here because it is the area of highest contrast in value. But there are other types of contrast, such as contrast of texture. Your eye goes right here because it's different from all the other texture here.
Is there a volume?
Volume, I'll try to talk louder.
Pauline, you're running out of time, just to give you a little warning.
Okay, I'm almost done. And in this photo, you have a contrast of color. This red bug, your eye immediately goes there because it's against this huge field of green. But there's also a contrast in depth of field or focus. So the bug is sharp where the background is blurry. So I'll just leave you with the idea that as illustrators, there's a whole vast world of other visual disciplines that you can explore, that you can get other ideas from and tips from.
Thank you. And I just want to let folks know that Pauline is an Oscar award-winning animator for the movie Babe.
Oh, not Babe.
No, which one was yours?
Well, my company won for Babe and for Life of Pi.
Uh-huh.
The last movie I worked on was the first Harry Potter movie.
Wow. That's amazing. You are so cool. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to bring on Aida Salazar. And the reason we're bringing Aida on is because she has a really, really exciting announcement to make.
Right. So yes, I'm for my exciting news. It was just released 2 days ago. I just sold novel and Arthur Levine books, which is an imprint of Scholastic, middle grades, and I was lucky enough to take the course or first meet Hillary Humsey at a SCB intensive. And she gave a course there, and when she announced the Children's Book Academy course that she was going to give, I immediately signed up because of her. And one of the things I did, I received a scholarship to attend. So I'm really grateful to Mira and to Hillary for that. So I had already written the book. I had maybe about 3 drafts, and when I went to pitch the book, I used all of Hillary's expert revision techniques to dig in and revise. Because it was a novel and verse was a little bit different, but I sat down and I literally went and checklist and checked off all the points and hit all the marks that she suggested. So it was an opportunity and a really great learning for me in the process. And also one thing, Book Academy also helped me, well, Mira in particular, helped me refine my pitch. The pitch was kind of floppy, and she just streamlined it for me, and it was the one that worked. I was able to submit at an LCBWI conference, and I was lucky enough to get critiqued by Nick Thomas of Arthur Levine books. And then within 24 hours or 48 hours, he asked for the full. Within 48 hours, I had something called an editorial exclusive to develop the manuscript. And then 48 hours after that, thanks to another friend, Dario Peoples, I was able to have an offer from an agent. Read my manuscript within 48 hours, and so it was this kind of whirlwind for incredible days. And long story short, the negotiation went back and forth, and then they bought actually 2 grade and a picture book, but that hasn't found an illustrator yet. So we're still waiting to announce that one. So
Awesome.
here I am with my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to do a shout out that Daria Peoples is another one of our former students. So it's just, and she's now published too, of course. We have a lot of now published former students. Aida, thank you so much for sharing your great news with us. I mean, my heart just always leaps when my students get published, our students, and it's a beautiful thing. So we got to move on because it's getting late.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Aida, thank you. What a treat. Oh, here's Nancy.
Oh,
So Nancy's book is, this is Nancy Chernin, and it's Manji Moves a Mountain. And it's beautiful. If you can move it further back, people can see how gorgeous it is. And up a little. Yeah, there it is. Very beautiful. Very vertical, which is appropriate. Gorgeous illustrations. Mm-hmm. So this book is the true story of a man who helped his village using a hammer, chisel, and persistence to chip a road through a 300-foot mountain. Oh. So it looks like Julie knows this book. She loves it. So Nancy, would you share your journey? We've got to do a little better with time, partly because of me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy to share the journey. Well, for me it was a very interesting journey because I've been a writer all my life, but I've been a journalist. And when I decided to start writing children's books, my first one was actually the William Hoy story, which I wrote because it's a story of a deaf man, and a deaf man named Steve Sandy told me that made him sad kids didn't know about this great deaf hero. I said, sure, no problem. I will write this so kids will know this story. And I had so much hubris. I had no clue that I had no idea how to write a children's book. And so after floundering around and writing what I thought was wonderful and sending it out and getting all kinds of rejections and being so baffled by this, I finally found Mira's class, the Children's Book Academy, and I signed up for it, and it was a revelation. And the way she broke down all the material, I went, oh, a query. Oh, an opening. Oh, you have to hook somebody in. Oh, this is the length. This is what it looks like. I mean, it was amazing. It was like, I didn't realize I'd been in a dark room and someone turned on the light. So I learned so much from the class, and I'm so grateful to Mira, and everyone was very encouraging. But there's also something else that I learned beyond writing a book, and I want to say at this point, I have now sold 6 books. I have just my 6th contract was announced Publishers Weekly online today. So, I mean, I've learned a lot about writing, but the other thing that I learned that, again, I didn't expect was how important it is to have a support system because, well, not only for your writing, but for your writing to be successful, to keep writing, you have to get those books into kids' hands. You have to remember, why did I start this in the first place? I wanted to get these stories in kids' hands. I felt this was something that would make their lives better to have these books. And also, if you want the publishers to publish them, they have to know that you have some skill in getting them into children's hands. And these days, most publishers do not spend a lot of time or money or effort in doing that for you. You really have to do that. So here's the other thing that I got out of the academy is look at what's happening right now to me and to all the other writers who are presenting. Not only did I learn at the academy, but now what is Mira doing? She's giving me the opportunity to share about my book with you. Treasure these connections that you are making in this class and in any groups that you join. Support each other. You support others. Others will support you. This time you're taking in learning how to write, get to know the people in your class. And also start preparing the way. Even before you sell your first book, you should be creating a platform. You should have a probably a Facebook page devoted to children's books. If you haven't published yet, maybe your page could focus on interviewing other authors. If you interview other authors, not only will you learn and be able to share about them, but later when you publish your book, those same people will return the favor. They will want to interview you and share your book with their followers. So create platforms, create a blog if you can, where you're interviewing people. Review people. One of the nicest things you can do for any author, anybody here, to say a big thank you is, hey, go on Amazon, go on Goodreads, go on Barnes and Noble. If you read their book, leave a review. If it's don't feel you can buy everybody's book, go to the library and request. If your library doesn't have the person's book, request that. If the library does have the book, check it out. Libraries care how many times books have been checked out. That'll determine what they keep. These are all ways, this is your opportunity while you're taking these classes, getting to know people, to support each other, to create a platform where other people will turn around and support you. In addition to creating a support group with your own writing community, you need to also think again about how to reach out to the people who are going to be most interested in your book. Clearly, people in the writing community, yes, but also, what is my book about? This book is about Manji Moves a Mountain, true story of a man who lived in India. So I thought very hard about who am I trying to reach. Well, first of all, obviously I'm trying to reach all children, but I've also just recently contacted editors of Indian American newspapers in this country. I just sent books out to an Indian American newspaper in Georgia and one in New York, and I'm talking to one in California, because they know the story of Manji and they're excited for their readers to know that there's a children's book like this available. Am I running out of time?
I was just gonna say you are, yeah.
Okay, so I looked both at the particularities of who would be interested in that. My publishers, one of the reasons I've been able to sell 6 books is because I have a good track record. My first book, The William Hoy Story, has now sold out multiple printings because I worked hard at getting this in the hands of kids. And one last thing I want to leave you with is that I know that many of us writers are introverted. We're not about, and we don't like to sell ourselves because we're about the books. Well, if you're about the books, think about the books as your children. You will overcome your introversion to help your children get a good start in the world. Will you not take your child to activities? Will you not want to introduce your child to people who will make your child's life easier? You are the advocate for your book. Your book is your child. You want to help your book get a good start in the world. It's actually, once it's published, it's not about you. It's about getting this book in the hands of children. I almost feel a little distance that way. I am an advocate. I'm not just a writer, I'm an advocate for my books and for the books of my friends. And so take this time before you publish to build up your friendships, your support systems, your platforms. As you plan out your book, try to visualize the kids who will benefit from having your book in the child's hands, and try and make sure that happens. In that way, you're not helping yourself, you're helping children. That's why you're doing it, that's why we all do it.
Nancy Quickie from Vanessa Formica, great name.
Yes.
Love the name. Do you think one should include marketing ideas in their queries?
Absolutely. The publishers want to know that because publishing is a business. And they need to, when they invest in your book, there are publishers who may love your book, but if they don't feel they can sell it, they won't take it on. You have to tell them, yes, you can sell it. And if there's one other thing I can tell you about Manji that makes it go beyond just the Indian American community, I created a project that fits in with the Choose Kind mission that schools are promoting to move your own mountain. And I created a Facebook page on my website, nancyturnan.com, Move Your Own Mountain. where I am sharing stories of wonderful things kids are doing in their schools and community to move mountains, to make things better. So that way I want to make this a book that all kids can use, that works with a school's curriculum, that makes the world a better place. That was a very appealing to a publisher, to be able to see how that would fit in. Also, all my books have teachers' guides. So they want to know that I would encourage and support them in the classrooms. Yes, definitely. In your query letter, you want to let your publisher know how you would market your book, what you would do to get it in the hands of kids, and also how big your platform
Nancy,
is.
yeah, we're going to have to cut you off, unfortunately. But
That's
God,
okay.
you're fabulous. You are fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, it's a pleasure, and thank you for all you do, Mira.
Oh. Next up, we've got Sarah Momo Romero. Yay, Sarah.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Great. So I'm going to, Sarah's book, which we're still working on, is called Wake Up Little Bat. Poor little bat, he really wants to join his family's nighttime fun, but he can't stay awake. Little bat tries everything, eating tons of fruit, playing the loudest music, and splashing in the coldest water. But nothing works. What is a little bat to do? Find out in this humorous story about family and discovery that ends with a twist. Okay, Sarah.
Thank you, Mira. I'm Sarah Momo Romero. I'm an artist and a writer, and now I could say that I'm also an author of my debut picture book, Wake Up Little Bat. It's going to be published with Clear Fork Publishing. I'm really excited. I'm working with Mira, as she said, as my art director, and it's been a whirlwind of a journey, to be honest. It's been so much fun, so exciting. I've learned a lot. It's been challenging. It's been all these emotional things. And really, I couldn't have gone on this journey without Children's Book Academy and their classes that I found last year. That's how I made the connection with Kelly, who's my publisher. She's amazing. And I feel like I'm only just beginning on this journey, even though I'm kind of making steps toward it. So what I wanted to share with everyone was how, even though it has been a lot of fun, it's also been really challenging, because for me, maybe for some of you out there, you're working a full-time job, you have obligations. Where do you find the time, right, to put into your creative passion? So that's one of the things I wanted to share with you. I have a few tips that have really helped me make the most of the little pockets of time, just to be able to push forward on the writing, the illustrating. So one of the things that I've done for myself is just like, I have a little corner in my house. It's just a little desk. It faces the window, but it's so important to find a space for yourself to let your creativity flow. If it's being outside or finding a local coffee shop that you love, like, go to that place, because that will get you into that mindset of creativity and ideas. The second thing is to stay organized. So as an artist, I get lost in a lot of my characters, a lot of my drawings. I just, for me, it's all about like getting into a different world. But now that I'm working towards actually illustrating for a picture book, there are certain things that I have to keep in mind, and I want to make sure that those thoughts are in the forefront. And I thought it was funny after seeing Janny's presentation that she also used Post-it notes, because I like using Post-it notes too. So I'll show you here. These are some initial sketches that I had of my squirrel character. And after showing them to Mira, there were certain very specific things that she thought would be better to improve, and I wrote them down on here. I put smaller feet and legs, or curvy thighs, bigger, like bushier tail, like things that I wanted to pinpoint so that once I sketched it again and again, those were things that I could focus on that would help my characters get better and improve. And the last thing I wanted to share was, you could have the time. Let's say you have a couple of hours and you're ready to go. Maybe for me it was okay. I need to redraw a little bat a certain way, and he wasn't coming out right, and I'd get frustrated, and it was just like, oh, why is he not showing up the way I want him to? What really helped me was to redirect my focus. So instead of just, getting frustrated, not having him turn out the way I wanted to, I would set him aside and then I would start working on my squirrel character, because then I know I'm taking advantage of the time, but I'm making steps in a different direction, but the journey is still moving forward. So I think that could work out for writing also. I also, is it almost
You're
done?
almost out of time, yeah.
Okay. So the only thing I would say is that as long as you can find your, little pockets of time, like little steps, you're still moving forward. And I think if those, if you could keep those things in mind, hopefully they will help you too.
That was lovely. Thank you, Sarah. And it's an absolute pleasure working with you. It always has been.
Thanks, Mira.
So, next up, we've got Jorge Lacera and Megan Lacera, who you guys will love, because I sure do. So, their book is Zombies Don't Eat Veggies. Zombies Don't Eat Veggies is a story of Mauricio Romero, a Latino zombie kid who's crazy about vegetables. Yeah, look at them. Aren't they gorgeous? I love embarrassing people too, but you guys are gorgeous. And beautiful to work with as well. Zombies Don't Eat Veggies is the story of Mauricio Romero, a Latino zombie kid who's crazy about vegetables. He thinks tomatoes are tantalizing and peppers are pure perfection. The trouble? Most parents hate veggies. They think zombies should only eat delicioso zombie cuisine like empanadas and finger foods. On the eve of a big family dinner, Mo hatches a plan that will show his parents that they can learn to love greens and show them that being different isn't frightful. It's delightful. That is clever.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, thanks so much for the intro, Mira, and the opportunity to chat with everyone. So, as Mira said, I'm Jorge Lacera.
And I'm Megan Lacera.
And actually, we've been collaborating since before we were married. Megan and I both met at American Greetings, the greeting card company. I was working as an illustrator. Megan was working as a writer. At the time, we were working primarily in kids entertainment. And we had always wanted to collaborate specifically on a picture book. It was something that we had always, were passionate about and were interested in getting started on. I was actually very lucky to receive the Yuyi Morales Scholarship at Mira's Children's Book Academy. Oh, see, I got the button. See?
Oh, aren't you gorgeous?
And that was really eye-opening, and it really helped us zero in on the Kidlit community, the Kidlit world, and it really helped us, hone in on what became the project that became Zombies Don't Eat Veggies, of which Mira was always an early champion and proponent of, and we really appreciate that. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so our book comes out next fall from Lee and Low, and we were really excited to sign their first 2-book picture book deal. So we're working on the second book as well. And we're also working on another picture book series with a production company that actually has produced movies like The Fault in Our Stars. So I think that's one thing that really is we're excited about is how books intersect with entertainment, since we have that background as well. So I'll show you a little bit about Zombies Don't Eat Veggies. We have a dummy here. We don't have the final book, but here is here is the opening spread. This is Mo with his beloved carrot. And this is a postcard, so you can see how the color is going to come out.
Cool.
And then one other spread that will show you is the family dinner spread. Much like our dinners, of course, with our empanadas and Dad's famous chili con ojos. Mo is just totally mortified with all this zombie food, and really wants his parents to love veggies. So as you can see, it's funny. There's lots of puns. We really wanted to create a safe horror book because our son is 5 and he absolutely loves, he dressed up as a vampire this year. He was 1 and he was, talking about zombies. He just really loves them. And we both love horror stuff. So we wanted something that was safe for him. And the other thing about it that was really important to us is to create a family that was like ours. And there's a lot of Spanish in the book. And so that brings us to our tip that we wanted to share about creating diverse books.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we realized as we were diving into the book was that the more we put of ourselves into it, the more specific the book became, the more, I always felt like the more universal it became because it started to take on, a very awesome flavor when we started adding, the fact that the zombie family is half Colombian and half, American, and what does those foods look like? What is that? So what does that add to the world of zombies? And why can't a Latino kid be a zombie? And these are the kinds of things that I loved reading about when I was a kid. I loved Bunnicula, and I loved reading the scary stories to read in the dark, and all these things were great, big influences on me. But I wasn't seeing myself in those books, and we certainly weren't seeing our family in the books out there. So we were really lucky to. As we started diving into this and came up with this kind of crazy stew of a book, that we were able to find ultimately an editor in Jessica Echevarria that really understood what we were trying to say. So our advice is don't be afraid to really dig into the specifics of your life or of your own experiences when you bring them to these books, because there is a need for them out there.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Wonderful. So next up, you're going to learn a fabulous writing technique, say, on how to edit for brevity. So this is Miri Leshem-Pelly. She's a regional advisor.
Hello.
In Israel.
Hi, Mira. Hi, everybody. My name is Miri Leshem-Pelly. I'm from Israel, and I took a course in the Children's Book Academy, and during this course I worked on a little fun idea that I had for a story. And during the course I was just working on it and improving it. After the course I decided to submit this story to agents, and I got an agent, and then the book got published. Yeah, this is the book, Scribble and Author. It's a fun dialogue between this little scribble here and the author who created Scribble. And they are doing a lot of fun things together. So I hope you'll check it out. This is a very, very short story, and like most picture books are. So the tip that I want to share with you is about how can we make our stories very, very short. I know that agents and editors are really looking for very short picture books. They want the manuscript to have something between 300 and 500 words, and it's very hard to make your story that short. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. Maybe you'll find it helpful. So when I start writing my first draft, I don't stop myself and I don't think about word count. I just write everything that comes to my mind. I just want to focus on the story. But later, when the story is written, I just copy it. I make a copy to be able to work and revise. And then the thing that I do is I start erasing, but erasing like crazy. And I want to leave only just a handful of sentences that are really the essence of the story. For me, I call it the skeleton. I want to dig for the skeleton and leave only those things that really build the story, and all the nice descriptions and all the fun dialogues, all those things, I just wipe them out. And I'm left with something that is very, very, very short. And that is like really the bones, the bare bones of my story. And then I copy it again and I start adding back things from my first version. But now I think carefully about each word. Is it really necessary? And then on the third version, I usually end up with a story which is much, much, much shorter than the first version. So give it a try. Maybe this tip could help you too to make your story short and sweet. Back.
Yuri, thank you so much. Can you hold your book up again and try and be still?
Okay.
Oh, it looks wonderful. Miri,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us from Israel.
Yeah.
And bye for now.
Bye bye.
Next up is Zane Duft.
Hi, I'm Sanne Duft. I'm an illustrator and also an author from Germany. And I've started illustrating a few years ago by joining SCBWI and also by taking one of Mira's fantastic courses and see a lot of wonderful things. So my first book was this, which was originally published in German but translated in other languages, unfortunately not in English yet. I went on working with a Dutch publisher on my second project, and which is actually a Christmas story and also translated in English. My third book was the most exciting yet because I also wrote it myself, and it was really Mira's course which gave me the courage to do so. And I loved working on this, and I was delighted when I found out that it was also going to be published in Canada and in the United States. It's out in Canada now and will be in the States, out in the States in February. Well, what I found so exciting about mentally crossing borders and looking at different markets was that there is such a great number of styles, such a great number of ways of making picture books, which very much encouraged me in finding my own style. Going to Bologna and looking at picture books, to the children's book fair there, looking at picture books from different countries, because the exciting thing is really that there are so many possibilities of finding your own voice. I hope you also consider, on the one hand, having a look around to see what is done in other countries, and also working with publishers from different countries. I hope this was helpful for you. Bye-bye.
And now the very last one. Okay, and this is Shirin Shamsi, and it's our very last one, so I hope you can hang in there for it. And we're going full screen.
Hello, my name is Shireen and I live in the Chicago suburbs, and I took Mira's course, and I have a contract with Claire Falk Publishing, and hopefully spring next year my middle grade novel will be published, and it's called Layla and the Sands of Time. And I'll read you the synopsis. Still grieving for her father's death, 13-year-old Layla goes on pilgrimage that they had planned together with her aunt and uncle. Transported back in time to 7th century Arabia, she is pulled into helping save a baby girl due to the injustices of the gender-biased society. Disguised as a boy, risking her own life, Layla faces the dangers of the desert, not knowing whether she will return home. Well, I'll give you a little on my background. My parents migrated to the UK from Pakistan in 1955, and so I was born in the UK, and so basically 3 generations of my family have lived on 3 continents, and I wanted to raise my children with books that they could recognize themselves in, and that is why I decided I want to write those stories. I started writing when my children were very young. Life got in the way, basically, but I just had this dream that I had to write this story in particular. It's taken a long time, and it's been a very bumpy road, but I never gave up. And I would say that there's one quote that sticks in my mind, and that is, the only people who succeed are the ones who never give up. And I just held on to that. I thought one day Layla's story will be out there for the world to see. And I just kept on. But within the last year, I've had so much support, and I think Mira's course and just being immersed in the writing community has helped me fulfill that dream, I think, especially in the last year. And I have this on my desk, which I'd like to show you. This is what I actually, on the 1st of January, I put this on my desk, and it really helps to have little quotations and inspirational thoughts to just keep you motivated. I was writing picture books last year. Like, I had put Layla's story aside, and last year I took your picture book courses. But then I just kept thinking I have to finish my first story, which was the middle grade novel. And this year I took your course, and I think within a couple of months I had completed the story and sent it out. And yes, so thank you, Mira. I hope that I can inspire other children with my stories. Bye-bye.
I was just saying, it's still happening.
I know, this is the longest webinar I've ever done, and I promise next year's. I promise next year's we'll have less people, and and I had to turn down so many people and say next year, because we've just had so many students get published. But
this is a good problem. Like, the problem that you have so many people who've been published, that's like the best problem in the world.
So yeah, wasn't this great? This was really awesome. So Jorge and Megan are offering a critique, and they are so awesome. Oh, and we still got people hanging in with us. Good on you, you troopers. It's almost hard to leave after this amount of time. But thank you all so very, very much, and especially thank you to our presenters. I just want to congratulate you all. I'm going to bring Hillary back if she's still with us.
I'm here.
Okay. I love Hillary. We've been teaching the chapter book course for a couple of years, and then we switched to the middle grade course, and now we're combining them. I'm actually having a good hair day. It doesn't happen very often.
We have so many published authors and illustrators who were here today, and I think it's really important that we all support each other and so it's the holidays, so we have so many books that we can now order, and if you do order some of the books that you saw here today, like Carolyn did, consider reviewing them on Goodreads and Amazon. There is nothing more supportive than you can do. And if you're in a position where you can't, you can ask your library to purchase the book too, because we all have different budgets and we're all in a different situation.
Yeah.
You can get your library to order it, and you can still review it for Amazon and for Goodreads and Barnes and Noble. So, if you support the writing community, they'll support you back. So when it's your turn to get published, you'll get the same love, and we're here for each other. So
Yeah.
all the authors and illustrators you saw today, go ahead and give them some love and review their books.
Yes, and give us some love too. Help us get the word out about the Children's Book Academy, and especially about this incredible upcoming chapter book and middle grade mastery course that is really going to be spectacular. I just interviewed Heidi Schultz, New York Times bestseller, and oh dang, I was going to have some of the other books from other people, but she gave such concrete, tangible stuff both about getting published, about creating voice, and about how she actually physically goes about structuring her book. It's really fascinating. It's not something I'd come across before. So anyway, gang, thank you so very, very much for being here. I just want to do a shout out to our panelists who have hung in with us. Kim, Leah, Pauline, Sarah, Sherry, Vivian, you guys are heroes. Or you guys want to just put your videos on so we can just do a final... I should have done a screenshot of everyone. Oh well, too late now. Oh, this gorgeous, huh? Bye everyone, and thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Mira. Bye, Hillary.
Bye you all.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, Melissa, Pauline, Vivian.
everyone.
Cool, huh?
Thank you. Bye, Melissa.
Love, yes, that's kind of what it's about. Bye.